Was President Trump wiretapped by Obama and his administration? That's like asking if a certain fox has been trying to steal from little children. I told you, swiper, no swiping. No swiping. We've had quite enough. Let's not beat around the bush here. Yes, President Trump's communications were watched before, during, and most likely after he was nominated for president. Upon learning of this wiretap from the New York Times, Trump said, "How low has President Obama gone to tap my phones during the very sacred election process? This is Nixon Watergate, bad or sick guy." The New York Times article is about intercepted communications used by the FBI amid its investigation into some of Trump's current and former aides, including Roger Stone, Carter Page, and Paul Manafort, and their ties to Russia. It does not say whether the surveillance targeted Russians or Americans, nor does it say Trump and his campaign were under investigation or surveillance. In fact, the author stipulates it is not clear whether the intercepted communications had anything to do with Mr. Trump's campaign or Mr. Trump himself. Of course, Congress has no evidence. Trump offered no evidence. Obama and the FBI are not going to cough up anything. But at this point, how much more evidence do people need in order to believe that the U.S. government is spying on its own people? We've had former senators, even former NSA agents themselves, like Edward Snowden, come out and sacrifice their lives to alert the public to how the security intelligence community is overstepping its bounds. Vault 7 dump by WikiLeaks, fresh off the press, with much more to come. The actual documents and guides from the CIA about how to spy on everybody and anything with an electrical pulse. How do you think they have the transcripts of Michael Flynn's conversations, or Jeff Sessions? That's because they're recording everything. Not just foreign communications, such as Angela Merkel back in 2010, or terrorists, as they've been instructed to do. They're scooping up the communications of American citizens and diplomats in the name of national security. At this point, it's a game of semantics. They like to play word games, play you for a fool. Like Hillary Clinton, when asked if she had wiped her server, and she said, "What do you mean, with a cloth or something?" James Clapper, lying under oath, when asked if the NSA collects any kind of data at all on Americans, said, "No, not wittingly." And that "not wittingly" part is what he used to exonerate himself and was the straw that broke the camel's back for Edward Snowden, inspiring him to launch his whistleblowing campaign. So looking at the question, did Obama wiretap Trump Tower? We can interpret that in different ways to imply different scenarios. So maybe Obama didn't order it directly himself, but he knew about it or enabled it. This is a classic move, interpreting the accusation as the accused themselves committing the crime. This is like when Obama was asked about election fraud, and he laughs it off, saying he only has one vote, as if he would be doing the manipulation or defrauding the votes. No. Shut up, Mr. President. Of course you are not going to be doing the vote flipping or wiretapping, but through your chain of command, it's allowed or enabled. And then in these recent Vault 7 dumps, we see that the CIA is redefining certain words so that it can fit nicely into their global warmongering schemes and plans presented to Congress and the military. They describe hacking attempts as firing, as if a weapon was being fired. So maybe it's not wiretapping in the traditional sense that most know it from the past 50 years, but it's called light tapping because it's cracking into optical fiber connections instead of copper wires. Over the last decade, U.S. hacking operations have been increasingly dressed up in military jargon to tap into Department of Defense funding streams. For instance, attempted malware injections, commercial jargon, or implant drops, NSA jargon, are being called fires, as if a weapon was being fired. However, the analogy is questionable. So maybe Trump Tower was digitally fired upon. or it's classified as another form of communication, or as originating from outside the US because of some arbitrary hops or additional connections in the line of communication, or it's called Five Eyes, Upstream, Prism, or Total Information Awareness. And maybe they weren't tapping the phones, it could have been the internet, power, water, security, or HVAC systems. Or maybe their TVs were recording conversations in Trump Tower. Trump's Android phone could have been the culprit, leaking keystrokes to a server somewhere. Based on the truth that's leaked out, use your imagination for how they could be hacking him, and you might be closer to reality than fiction. Why is the deep state seeking to cause strife in our democratically elected president's first term? Is it just because of the change in power from one party to the other? These same programs are running under Obama, and really, we don't have time to get into it now, but that's what helped Obama win 2 terms, how they knew who to target, who he voted for, who had voted, and how. When Hillary said she wanted to run a campaign like Obama's, she meant using the power of the deep state to predict and manipulate votes. But she was so black, so evil, so corrupt beyond comprehension that all the surveillance in the world couldn't get her elected, and the filth and lies in the seat finally boiled over for all to see. Now that the other team is at the top, there are bitter spirits who just want to distract and disrupt. And ultimately, that's what all this hacking, spying, and wiretapping talk is. Just political distraction, while it's business as usual in Washington. Still pushing global wars in Iraq, North Korea, and Russia, still trying to divide and rule by their control over the monetary system, still waging a failed war on drugs while corporations are allowed to sell you whatever questionable concoction they can get a patent for. Guys, it's time we wake up, get organized, and stop this madness using nonviolent civil disobedience and constantly speaking out about the illegal and brazen attack on democracy we're witnessing. How can this be fixed? Could this be used for good instead of evil? What kind of freedom-encouraging systems would you build if you had the power to listen and watch all communication at all times? Or would you use it to spy on political opponents and subvert truth and honor and integrity and give in to the dark side and seek only to strengthen and extend your own power? There's groups springing up now to take back our country, such as Justice Democrats, Our Revolution, Brand New Congress, the Green Party, and more. There is still hope. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to follow along as we help spread truth and wake people up. And if you don't like this video, give it a thumbs down and tell me why. Leave your comments, questions, complaints, gripes, and general bitching in the comments below, and any tips you may have for Trump and how he may overcome these egregious offenses on democracy and drain the swamp to make America great for the first time. In the meantime, stay vigilant, seek truth, and seize the day.